No doubt about it, a loading dock can be a busy place. With all the activity and equipment in use at loading docks and in warehouses, mishaps can and do occur. In fact, 1 out of every 4 warehouse injuries happens at the loading dock. And when they happen, those injuries tend to be serious, sometimes fatal. Mishaps at loading docks also create economic losses. Work stops, equipment gets shut down, products are damaged. That's why safety is so important, no matter what type of work you do at the dock or in the warehouse. Whether you drive a truck, check in freight, operate a forklift, break down or build pallet loads. In this program, we're going to look at the common causes of loading dock injuries and cargo damage. We'll also show you how to spot and prevent typical hazards at the dock and in the warehouse, helping you to be safe on the job and making the loading dock a safer place for everyone. But before we look at the hazards, let's start with the basics. Personal protective equipment, or PPE. At loading docks and in warehouses, PPE often includes eye protection, gloves, sturdy work shoes, and hard hats. Depending on the conditions and the type of work you do, you may also need to use a dust mask, cold weather clothing, or a back support, if your employer and physician recommend one. Also, know where emergency equipment is located, such as fire extinguishers, first aid kits, alarms, and telephones. Know how to use them and what number to call. Now, let's look at some of the most hazardous situations that you may encounter at loading docks and in warehouses. Loading and unloading a trailer. Slips, trips, and falls. Back injuries. Forklift traffic and stacking loads. For each situation, know what to watch for so you can protect yourself and your coworkers. Unloading or loading a trailer happens every day in just about every location you can think of. Most of the time, everything goes according to plan. But even though it may all seem routine, you should always be on the lookout for what could go wrong. Here are some things you can do to help make loading or unloading a trailer a safe procedure every time. First of all, what do you need to keep in mind before you open the doors? If you said shifting loads, you're right. Even if the load is transported only a few miles, it may have shifted on the trailer. Falling freight can be a hazard when you open the doors, so be sure to stand out of the way. Always watch for falling freight when opening trailer doors. Unexpected movement of trailers at the dock has caused many injuries and death. Shutting off the engine and setting the brakes is the first step to making sure the vehicle doesn't move. It also minimizes exposure to exhaust fumes and cuts down on noise. Before you start unloading a trailer, wheel chocks or some other vehicle restraining device need to be in place. This is a good idea, even if the trailer is attached to a tractor with the brakes set, and even if the area is sloped toward the dock. Because of the orientation of certain docks or trailer areas, there may be some truck drivers or loading dock workers who feel that chocking wheels is simply unnecessary, and there could be some situations where not chocking may be okay. However, before you or anyone else starts unloading a truck that hasn't had its wheels chocked, know why that's the case. Ask yourself questions. Will the decline of the trailer area or using a mechanical restraint prevent all trailer creep? Is not chocking the wheels in this situation supported by warehouse and trucking company policy? If you can't come up with solid answers to these and other questions, chock the wheels. Place the wheel chocks in front of the rear wheels to help prevent the trailer from moving away from the dock. Attaching the chocks to the outside of the dock or building helps keep them handy. Keep in mind that even with wheel chocks in place, the repeated up and down movement of the trailer caused by loading or unloading activity may loosen the chocks and cause the trailer to slowly creep or walk away from the dock. If the dock has a mechanical restraining system, use it. One type of restraint hooks onto the rear impact guard of the trailer. It prevents the trailer from creeping away from the dock. It also prevents anyone from driving away before unloading or loading is done. Another kind of restraint latches on to the rear wheels of the truck or trailer. These are useful when the trailer is not equipped with an impact guard or the guard is bent or missing. On spotted or dropped trailers, the forward landing gear is sometimes reinforced by using portable jack stands to keep the trailer from tipping forward. Keep in mind that trailer creep is more of a problem on spotted trailers, so that's when the use of a restraining device is especially important. If you're using a dock plate to bridge the gap between the dock and the trailer, make sure it's designed for the combined weight of the load, the lifting device, and the person moving the load. Inspect the dock plate every day, checking for cracks, bends, and other signs of failure. Position the dock plate so there's at least 8 inches of overlap on each end. Make sure it's secure before driving or walking over it. Portable dock plates usually have a vertical divider to prevent slipping. The insides of trailers should be well lit. If you use articulating lights, make sure they're in good repair. Check the cords for insulation damage. A short circuit could start a fire. Electrical outlets between or near dock bays should have ground fault circuit interruption, or GFCI protection. During loading or unloading, don't linger inside the trailer. Carbon monoxide or other emissions from forklifts can build up and turn into a hazard. Get in, get your work done, and get out. Another common hazard occurs if a truck driver starts to drive away while loading or unloading is still going on. To avoid this problem, use hand signals, light systems, and signs to maintain communication between the driver and the dock workers. A trailer should never leave the dock until an all clear has been given. Slips, trips, and falls are the most common causes of injuries at loading docks. Floors at loading docks are usually designed for safe walking and standing, but liquids can make any surface unsafe. Water and ice can accumulate near docks, and forklifts can sometimes leak fluids. These hazards are even more dangerous when they're near an open dock door. One small slip could put you over the edge. Floors must be kept dry. Clean up any drips, leaks, or spills immediately. Dock plates can be slippery when wet too, so be aware of your footing. Unfortunately, debris on the floor is a common sight at docks and in warehouses. Pieces of plastic, cardboard, empty containers, discarded banding tape and wire, pieces of wood pallets with nails sticking out. Any one of these hazards could cause an injury if you were to slip or trip. You can help reduce slipping and tripping hazards by practicing good housekeeping. Floors should be swept at least daily. Keep debris picked up. This also prevents combustible material from becoming a fire hazard. Anytime you think you're having a bad day, imagine what it would be like to fall from a rack or a loading dock. Here's a few tips that can prevent that from happening. Never climb a rack or a stack of products or materials. If you really need to get up there, that's what ladders and lift platforms are for. As a rule of thumb, position the base of a ladder at least 1 foot away from the rack or wall for every 4 feet of height. Make sure the legs of the ladder are on a clean, non-slip surface. Be careful around the edges of docks, especially when dock doors are open and there's no trailer present. Never jump onto or from a dock. Always use steps or a ladder. Back injuries are the nation's #1 workplace safety problem. More than 1 million workers suffer back injuries each year. Most back injuries don't occur from a single incident. It's usually long-term abuse that causes the problems. The best way to avoid back injuries is to avoid lifting, twisting, bending, or reaching overhead. Use material handling equipment for heavy loads. Operators should be properly trained before using this type of specialized equipment. When you have to lift something manually, use good lifting techniques and never try to lift too much. Here are a few tips. If possible, split large loads into smaller, lighter loads. Before you carry something, check to make sure that your path is clear with no hazards, such as uneven floor surfaces or spilled liquids along the way. Face the object. Keep your body directly over your feet. Bend at your knees, but keep your back straight. Grip the object firmly with both hands. Bring the object close to your body. Keep your chin, elbows, and arms tucked in tight. When you're carrying the load, don't twist your body. Turn by changing foot positions. When you set the object down, use the same process in reverse. Lower the load slowly by bending your knees, letting your legs do most of the work. Remember, these guidelines won't protect you if an object is too heavy, awkward to hold, or if you can't hold it close to your body. Besides using proper lifting and carrying techniques, you can also reduce your risk of back injury by using stretching and strengthening exercises. Also, if you want to use a back support belt, check with your doctor first. Let's talk a minute about forklift traffic, specifically what you need to know when there's a forklift operating nearby. Forklift operators are trained to yield to pedestrians, but they may not always see you. So listen and look. Check the convex mirrors at blind corners. Walk along the sides of an aisle or in walkways marked for pedestrian traffic. Forklifts steer from the rear wheels, so watch for the back end of the forklift to swing out when it turns. If you need to talk to the forklift operator, make sure that he or she sees you before you approach. Pedestrians should not be inside trailers while a forklift is loading or unloading. The company probably has a policy or at least some preferences on where and how to stack loads, so make sure you follow those guidelines. Here are some general safety rules to keep in mind about stacking loads. In general, don't stack heavy loads on top of light ones. Heavy loads go under light ones, and smaller loads go on top of large loads. This keeps the center of gravity low and helps prevent stacks from falling over. If you're stacking objects on pallets, they should not stick out over the sides of the pallet. Stack the pallets straight, centered on each other. However, some pallets may not be stackable. It depends on the product. Keep aisles and evacuation routes clear. Don't stack objects near exit signs or safety equipment such as fire extinguishers or alarm switches. If you stack materials near the ceiling, make sure they're at least 18 inches away from sprinkler heads. Drums can be stacked if you do it right. Not directly centered on each other, but like a pyramid. No more than 3 high is the usual recommendation. Don't stack incompatible chemicals together. Read the material safety data sheets for any materials that you move or stack, and always follow company policies. A busy loading dock is a good thing. It's a sign that the company is thriving and healthy. Do your part to keep it that way. Stay alert for hazards. Loading dock and warehouse areas don't have to be dangerous places to work. In fact, you can play a major role in preventing mishaps. Practicing safety at the loading dock keeps you and your business running smoothly.